Hi, this is Jundo. Welcome to Tree Leaf. Well, we're going to be doing something a little controversial in the Buddhist world. Hey, it's not the first time around here. I'm going to make a recommendation that probably many Zen teachers would not necessarily agree with. Though, to be honest, I'm not sure. It's typical in the Zen world to say that when you sit Zazen, you should sit, for example, as a person at home, maybe twice a day, maybe 20 to 35, 40 minutes each time. And that's good if you can manage it. But in my experience, a lot of people cannot. If you're a monk in a monastery, your job is to be a monk in a monastery. And part of your job description is sitting Zazen. So they sit in the morning, they're sitting in the afternoon, and they sit at night. But for people at home, well, sitting is Zazen. And we also say that all of life is Zazen. So it depends how you look at things. For that reason, Taigu and I have discussed this for a while. And we're going to make an official tree leaf recommendation that if you can sit 20 to 35 minutes twice a day, great. But for most folks with busy lives, kids, jobs, maybe 2 jobs, maybe 3 jobs these days, we recommend you sit every day for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. We would rather have you be consistent and sit every day than not sit at all. Or to sit some days and then not sit for many days and then sit again. If you can sit every day, or let's be realistic here too, almost every day for 15 minutes, and if you sit with a certain attitude and perspective on it, this is very important, that attitude and perspective, then we feel that 15 minutes is a complete sit. Let me explain. There's a thing for busy parents that they call quality time. You know, those people with the 2 jobs or the 3 jobs may only have an hour or two, if that, to spend with their kids every day. Who has time for Zazen when you barely have time to spend with your kids? But people talk about quality time. Now there's a lot of downside to quality time too, and it would be better to be able to spend 5 or 6 hours with your kids if you can. But if you're going to spend just a little time with your kids, make it count. Really be with your kids. Really talk to them, interact with them, play with them. And even that short time can be more precious and valuable than a long time. Well, it's a little bit like that if you're going to sit for 15 minutes of Zazen. If you sit with the attitude that 15 minutes is the only place to be in all time and space, there's nothing else to do in that 15 minutes, that 15 minutes is timeless, then it's a good 15 minutes of Zazen. If you sit for an hour and your mind is just lost in daydreams and watching the clock and not sitting Zazen, really, even though it looks like you're sitting Zazen, then you could sit for weeks and it's not the same. But sit for 15 minutes beyond thinking that there is any other place to be in the world or any other thing to do. Sit for 15 minutes as if you are Buddha sitting there right then, and that 15 minutes is 15 minutes of Buddha. Really, Zazen is beyond time and space. So even a second of zazen, or a minute, or half a moment of zazen is also complete and all time and space. So why do we even recommend 15 minutes? Why not just 30 seconds or a second or half a second? Well, let's be practical about it. It does take a few minutes to let the mind settle a bit, to stop thinking about this and that, and to let time go. So in order to realize how timeless it all is, it takes a little time. And in order to realize how complete the experience it is, well, it takes a few minutes of settling down. So get there, settle, and even if in that 15 minutes you can taste a bit of that clarity, that open, wonderful blue sky, then it was a good time. Good for you. Now, of course, we're putting another condition on it. I was talking about insta-zazen, bringing zazen out into the world, wherever you get a chance, stuck in traffic, in the postal line, when someone cuts in front of you in the grocery store and you're starting to get upset, when the boss is yelling you in the office. All these times are time for a moment of zazen, whether standing or sitting or in a car. If you do every day several insta-zazen moments, then we think that one good sit of 15 minutes is really sufficient. Don't forget those insta-zazen moments either. Now, don't think, by the way, that this means that every day you should sit for 15 minutes. Let me explain too. Sometimes it is good to sit longer, even really longer, sitting with me, myself, and I. This is also an important facet of Zazen, where we actually sit and we get deep. You know, it's like taking a canoe out into a lake, which is a beautiful experience, but every once in a while you want to get on a sailboat and really sail out into the deep ocean by yourself for a few days or weeks. There are places like Antaiji, someone mentioned that, where they sit from morning to night really long, each sitting 50 minutes, and they sit and they sit, and then they work and they sit and they sit and they work. They don't even do ceremonies there. They're sitting so much, and they're working and they're sitting and they're sitting and they're working. And that's good too, because long zazen is good, short zazen is good. It's all beyond good or bad, and it's all timeless and precious. So sometimes, yes, we have our weekly retreats here, which we netcast at Tree Leaf, and there we sit 30 minutes at a time for a total of 90 minutes. We do some other things too, some ceremonies. And then once a month we have a 4-hour Zazen Kai. And then once a year we have a one-day retreat. But we also encourage people, if they can, to get away for a few days of retreat, because some days it's good to get in that boat and sail into the deep ocean and wrestle with your me, myself, and I. So most days, sit for 15 minutes. Do your Insta Zazen at various times in life, in the office, in the stores, in the streets. Just take a moment to zen it. But at other times, once a week, sit longer. Once a week, sit a 30-minute sit. Once a week, if you can, sit longer. We really would love to have you join us for our weekly Zazen Kai and take 90 minutes once a week and sit with us and chant with us and talk with us a bit. Okay? Anyway, that's the 15-minute sit. Shall we sit right now for 15 minutes?